In today's episode, we're going to be reacting to some of the craziest and strangest videos I found on TikTok. Let's get into it.
If you've got any Coke on you, you're going to want to throw that away right now. So, places round Earth reportedly have got a big issue with Coke at the moment. Coca-Cola is one of, if not the most popular drinks. You've definitely had it, you might even be sipping on one right now. And if you are, you're definitely going to want to check this. So there is a big recall going on right now because they found a large amount of chlorite inside of the drinks. Now chlorite is essentially chlorine, so not good. At certain levels of this it can lead to you feeling slightly nauseous or having a bad stomach. And if it's extremely high it can lead to oxygen issues, but it's not that high so don't worry. But if it is in your drink and you're drinking it, it's definitely not going to be good and could leave you pretty ill. As I say, this isn't on absolutely every single bottle, but there are certain batches that it is affecting. So you want to check for these batch numbers 328GE all the way up to 338GE. Now, of course, there's a recall, so what does this mean if one of your Coke cans does have this? Well, you need to take it back and return it immediately. You're going to get a full refund, potentially compensation in the future, who knows. So just make sure you check the cans, and you should be fine. I'll keep you updated.
Now, there was a time when I would drink sodas a lot. Coca-Cola, Sprite, and the other orange drink, Sunkiss. I used to drink those quite often. I stopped drinking sodas maybe close to 10 years ago, and it's been great. I used to have this really weird feeling, and I'm not sure what it was. It was kind of my stomach, my kidneys. It was a combination, I think, of those drinks and drinking tea. You know, like sweet tea, not any kind of tea that was good for you to drink. But after cutting sodas out and cutting the tea out, man, it's been a lot better for me internally. I will have to say though, one of my guilty pleasures that I still like for some reason is a lemonade slushie from Sonic. I just really like those every once in a rare while. Those are delicious.
The following footage comes from a woman who was cleaning out her rental property. It had been vacant for 2 months, so she went in there to prepare it for their new renter. Keep in mind, she's alone. There's nobody else in the house with her. As she's mopping each room, she goes back to the very first room to do some touch-ups, and that's when she noticed something that absolutely terrified her. What appears to be bare footprints on the floor. Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Oigan, ando aquí en mi casa, que nuestra casa que voy a vender, y pues ando limpiando, ¿verdad? Estoy trapeando, no trapeando. Ahorita empecé trapeando de allá, seguí este cuarto aquí, en el oeste, y me fui para los detrás. Entonces ya vengo a regresar trapeando y noto esto. Se ven unas patitas. Como güey, todavía no se seca. Pero no hay nadie, yo traigo zapatos. Ando en tenis. Y estoy sola. No hay nadie. Mis niños están en la escuela. Y hemos estado en esta casa como por 2 meses. No hay nadie, no hay nadie. Y está. Ay, madre.
I mean, it's really hard to tell. Those feet print look fairly grimy, like they look like they're stuck on fairly thick with dirt. So even if she wiped over with the mop, even though that part of the floor does not look wet, at some point before she even started mopping, someone could have ran through that house with their bare feet. That's just my opinion. It could also be paranormal. If it is, ghosts have extraordinarily dirty feet.
Here it is, video footage of the Serpent's Gate, also known as the entrance of the ice wall, also known as the Summer's Gate because it opens up at a certain period of the summer where the sun gets so close to Antarctica that it melts an opening in the ice wall, creating an entrance. And I was thinking, you know, I can't trust anyone anymore, so I think I'm just going to get in a boat, spend like $4K on it, get a single person boat and sail all the way down from the Mississippi in Minnesota, which is where I'm at now, and sail all the way down there to Antarctica. It'd only take about 3 months and I could make videos along the way. And then I could reach this place and then probably get kicked out by the military and probably get arrested. So that's why it's a super risky thing. But let me show you a super interesting video I found where these two guys went to the ice wall themselves, and then a giant wave generator was created and basically forced them to get away. Now, this is probably what would happen if I went here alone and just tried to go straight up to the ice wall, because they got these secret technology underneath the water, and it creates this giant wave. Check this out. This is unlike anything I've ever seen before. They use probably a free energy device, because this would take a huge amount of energy. And look at this. A huge artificial wave that forces these guys in this tiny little boat to get away, because they're obviously hiding something over there. So that's why this is such a huge topic, because it's so obvious that they don't want us going to Antarctica, and they put all these traps in place for us so that we're not able to go. So this is why I made another video about how I need a giant cargo ship, but that costs like $1 million, and I don't have that. So I think probably the better idea is just to try and figure out a way to get past this on a tiny 4K boat by myself. Also because I've had a few spies I've noticed lurking around my TikTok.
I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy this guy's content. It's funny. And the way he says Antarctica is hilarious. He's so heavy on the ant. Now, I do not believe any of this content. I think it's all satire. But if he does actually end up getting a boat and supposedly going to Antarctica, I would really enjoy that just to see how he's going to pull that off. And I'm kind of concerned because there's a lot of people in his comments that say, I totally believe you and love to go with you. I'm sorry you're running into so many problems. I wish we could support you more. But with that, I will say the wave machine, the video that he's shown, was actually a really cool video, because I kind of do believe that technology like that does exist, and there is certain people that probably use it to keep people away or to even do certain attacks on other countries maybe.
Chateau des Amours, basically the Mothers of Darkness castle, built in 1849. But the rumors around this castle are that it is one of the meeting places for the Illuminati. And it's believed that there is a sect of witches who refer to themselves as the Mothers of Darkness, who live on the castle premise, and they perform the rituals. And it's believed that these witches come from a very old satanic families. But what's crazy is that this couple went to go look at the castle, and there's this gate that was open, and they both went in, and there was a door that was open within the castle. The girl walked in, the door shut, and then he went up and was hitting the door and stuff and like, hey, let her out and stuff. And basically they called the cops on him. He got arrested, and he's like, my girlfriend is in there.
Yeah.
Never seen her since.
Just gone?
Gone.
Whoa.
And they can't do anything about it.
Now, I looked this up, at least as far as Wikipedia goes, and there was nothing about anyone going missing, so I cannot confirm if this is really true or not. So if anyone has the information on where they're getting this from, please let me know in the comments. Hey, if you're enjoying the show and you haven't done so already, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I would also like to give a special shout out to all of my active members on the channel. So to everyone that's a member and you see on the screen right now, thank you guys so much for being a member. I cannot thank you enough.
Are modern day giants, the giants of big tech, trying to break out of the simulation? Early this week, President Trump made this announcement.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate.
Project Stargate is a collaboration between the United States government and the giants of big tech, including Sam Altman, who tweeted this week, "Build monuments in the desert." And on January 4th, it's supposed to either be about 1, the simulation hypothesis, or 2, the impossibility of knowing when the critical moment in the takeoff actually happens. What does Project Stargate have to do with the simulation hypothesis? This article from The Atlantic, written in 2016, makes the connection clear. Tech billionaires want to destroy the universe. In the article, journalist Sam Criss actually says something Luciferian persists in the techno-Gnostics of San Francisco. Criss's article is referencing a publication by the New York Times, where interviewing Sam Altman, journalist Tad Friend says, many people in Silicon Valley have become obsessed with the simulation hypothesis. The argument that what we experience as reality is in fact fabricated in a computer. 2 tech billionaires have gone so far as to secretly engage scientists to work on breaking us out of the simulation. This idea of breaking us out of the simulation is not a new idea. In historian Flavius Josephus's account, Antiquity of the Jews, concerning the Tower of Babylon and the confusion of tongues. Now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah, a bold man and of great strength of hand. Nimrod would build a tower too high for the waters to be able to reach, and would avenge himself on God for destroying their forefathers. The Tower of Babel, or the Gate of God, was intended to be a stargate that Nimrod could go through to avenge himself on God for the flood. If you research actual Gnosticism, the premise is that Yahweh, the creator of this universe, is evil, known as the Demiurge. This is the religion of Nimrod. In this article from universalfreemasonry.org, The Historical Origins of Freemasonry, The Legend of Nimrod. The universal sentiment of the Masons of present day is to confer upon Solomon, king of Israel, the honor of being their first Grand Master, but the legend of the craft had long before bestowed, at least by implication, that title upon Nimrod. This was the first time ever that Masons had any charge of his science. Nimrod's science. The same science that Nimrod was doing just after the flood in Babylon, the Gate of God.
But I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era.
If we are in a simulation made by the God of the Bible, then base reality is what we know as heaven, the throne room of God. Is this beginning to make more sense to you? Two tech billionaires have gone as far as to secretly engage scientists to work on breaking us out of the simulation, that they'll emerge out of this drab illusion into a more shining reality. Sam Altman.
I think this will be the most important project of this era.
Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. It's actually a really interesting theory when you put it all together like that. And I'm not trying to poke fun of anyone's looks or anything like that, but it does seem like these tech giants, if you will, have an odd look about them. When you see Mark Zuckerberg in photos, he just looks like a robot. And that goes for Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and a number of other people that are in those high up positions. They just have this odd look about them. And I mean, maybe that's why they're successful, because they are different. And not necessarily in any fallen angel or alien type of way. Let me know what you guys think.
Okay, so I looked for this paper everywhere and I could not find it. Have you heard of quantum smell? Why this interested me so much is because I tried to find the paper and it was unfindable. So I digged, and here's what I found. So this man here named Luca Turin, who is a biophysicist. So basically, Luca's theory explores the idea that smell is a quantum phenomenon. Basically, these things called the olfactory receptors, which is very interesting because if you didn't know this, smell is the only scent that has no filter. It goes straight up there. All your other senses have a bunch of filters, which is why smell is very closely linked with memory. Now we're getting metaphysical, but I'll go back. Just remember, smell and memory are linked. So basically, these olfactory receptors, he says, detect the vibrational frequencies of odorant molecules through a process called inelastic electron tunneling, essentially reading the molecular vibrations, this is a mouthful, like a tiny spectrometer, rather than solely relying on the shape. This theory is totally different than the normal lock and key theory of smell, which is what most people think of, which talks about that these molecules are recognized by their shape. In your nose, you have things called receptors or locks, and then in the air, these molecules are keys. These are the smells. When you smell something, the molecules float into your nose, and they try to fit into these locks. If one fits in the lock, your brain will go, oh, that smells like chocolate. Or this smells like flowers. So the idea was that every smell has a differently shaped molecule, and your nose has a matching receptor for it. But in quantum smell, the molecules are vibrations, not shapes, because we're in a holographic universe. We're not materialists anymore, are we? Not my audience. These molecules vibrate at specific frequencies, like little music notes. Your nose has receptors that listen to these vibrations instead of matching shapes. The molecules bind to the receptors in your nose, quantum mechanics kicks in, where the electrons tunnel through the molecule and detect its vibrations. This tunneling sends a signal to your brain saying, hey, this smells like lemons. In this theory, stuff that's the same shape could still have different smells because it's different frequencies. I think we're just at the beginning stages of figuring out the smell stuff, but let me get into the metaphysics, the interesting part. Number one, I'm convinced this is hidden info because his theories get a lot of slack on the internet, but then people hire him to expand on his smell theories. He also works in perfume. He's done stuff at MIT, financed by DARPA, so clearly he's onto something with smells. And if you want to screenshot this and read it on your own time, these are some reasons why the shape theory does not work and his theory does. Here's the thing. If we can smell our environment and that is like a straight shot of reality over what we see, because think about it, what we see is a lot of illusions based on our perception and our limited beliefs of what we culturally believe, what we believe from our trauma, our negative beliefs about ourselves. For instance, I'm very paranoid. I think people are trying to hurt me a lot because I have trauma from when I was a child. I see a lot of negative things out in the world. I have seen them working on this. But the point is, think about how many of us are walking around seeing things in the world because of our negative beliefs, because we have not reframed them yet. What if we learn to train our olfactory system, our smell, to sniff the environment first, to sense things? We might literally train ourselves to sniff out danger, to sniff out who we can trust. As we get in an increasingly weird world where people can maybe hack into your brains, or, you know, if we are in a hologram, maybe there's a way where our smell is going to be the only thing that can really detect what's true and what's real. So I've actually studied this in depth. I have a couple videos talking about how we can literally smell our environment, process it, and what it has to do with plasma, which I'm obsessed with. You can go to my Plasma Intelligence playlist. Basically, I talk about how in mythology, what if we are the beetles sniffing the sun, sniffing the plasma, sniffing our environment? Not plasma like in science. Like, what if everything was like a living ether, like a higher dimensional plasma that was infiltrating everything in our reality? And we could smell it and sense it and gain more intuition about our reality, just like the ancients did, sniffing plasma. Just like birds harness it, and magnetic fields and how they fly and know where they're going. Oh, and that looks like a plasma sun, doesn't it? And even here, the goddess Inanna, what is that on her head? Antennas, maybe, to sniff the sun? Listen, it could be a coincidence, but it's weird. I just have a sneaking feeling, I'm not saying I figured it out completely, how we are smelling what I think is a higher dimensional plasma, and we don't even know. And it has to do with how we're perceiving reality. And there should be ways to hack into it to make us have a better reality experience.
That's a lot to take in, but just like any other sense, I do think smell does play a big part in something that we lack nowadays, that we probably utilized back in the past, as far as ancient technology goes. Also, back in the past, the world was so different. I wonder what the world actually would have smelled like, or what your capabilities of being able to smell would have been like. It's probably a lot different. But let me know in the comments of what you guys thought about this, and or if you're interested in any of this person's other content. I can play more of it.
Now, this is called the LBT, the Large Binocular Telescope, and it's one of the largest telescopes in the entire world. Now, on the LBT, there's a part called Lucy. Used to be called Lucifer until in 2012 people lost their damn minds because it was called Lucifer, and they changed the name to Lucy. But basically, it is a small part on this LBT that allows the Vatican to do extragalactic research in partnership with the University of Arizona. So big question is, for one, what are y'all looking for up there? Because if God created everything in heaven and earth, did he create the aliens too? The Pope did one time say that he would baptize an alien if the alien asked. So they actually might be onto something. They may be hiding something from us. And the LBT does sit on a sacred mountain. Mount Graham is sacred to the Apache people around it because they believe it's a portal to God and that spiritual deities actually live on this mountain. And then the Vatican put a telescope on top of it. Apparently this telescope is so big and so powerful, it is able to see stars being born. And it takes pictures like this, which are pretty dope. No, I'm not bullshitting you about any of this. Look.
Breaking space news, absolutely insane and announced this morning. Scientists sent a spacecraft to an asteroid 63 million kilometers away, grabbed a chunk of it and brought it back to Earth. And they've analyzed the sample, and the results of what is on this asteroid are in. Basically, scientists think that this asteroid used to be part of a much bigger object like an ancient planet or moon in the early solar system, and this chunk broke off from it. On Earth, life uses these 20 amino acids to create proteins. They found 14 of these 20 amino acids on this asteroid. Also, you know these 5 nucleotide bases used to make DNA and RNA? Guess how many of these 5 were discovered on the asteroid? All of them. They found all 5 of the building blocks for DNA and RNA on this asteroid. They also found 11 different minerals that form as water containing salt evaporates. Salt water. It's also rich in carbon, nitrogen, and other organic compounds that are essential to life as we know it. All of this means that the object that this asteroid came from had the building blocks for life and probably a salty ocean. It was probably an ancient ocean world, and this asteroid is just a messenger carrying on its history. It's also possible that asteroids just like this are what brought life to Earth in the first place.
We may be entering Bigfoot season. The following footage was captured by a woman named Shannon outside of her home. She recorded these unusual, unidentified howls from some unknown creature. And we've heard sounds like this before, and that's from a reported Bigfoot. This was captured in North Carolina. Take a look at this, listen to the audio, and tell me what you think.
That scared me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Dang. As far as what that noise could have been, I'm not sure. It definitely sounded guttural and like a living creature, but then again, it almost sounded mechanical. Let me know what you guys think it really was. Also, did the dog's bark get you as well? Because that kind of made my heart jump a little bit.
I saw this dude give a story on TikTok where he went to Bluff City, Utah. And he's like, but what I experienced there had me question if we're in a simulation.
Uh-oh.
He said we were at this hotel and then we went to a grocery store and then a restaurant. And he said it just, people were weird acting. They were like not expecting someone to come in.
Yeah.
For instance, he went to the hotel clerk. He said, hey, can we get some towels for our room? She's like, oh, actually, I don't know where they're at. This is my first day on the job.
What?
And then he went to the store and something wasn't working.
Weird.
And she's like, I'm so sorry. This is my first day on the job.
Weird.
And then he went to a restaurant and the card wasn't working. And she's like, I don't actually know how to work this machine. This is my first day on the job.
Dude, that was
And he's like,
like a Truman Show.
what is happening?
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
But then another guy who duetted it, he didn't have a story like that, but he said he stopped in Bluff City and he saw this hitchhiker girl walking on the side of the road, but his car was packed. He's like, I can't pick her up or whatever. He said 30 miles down, the same girl
Stop it.
was
right
walking.
now.
But like that always reminds me of the Truman Show. There's got to be a civilization or a community that's pulled that off.
North
happen
Korea.
Like that.
I have actually heard the story before from these creators. I'm actually kind of surprised because this video is only 6 hours old. So, but with that being said, since I have gained quite a bit of subscribers since, has anyone been to Bluff City, and do you agree with what these guys say about it being a little odd? I definitely understand small cities do have a different type of personality.
The entire planet needs to see this video. Literally. When you enter the Great Pyramid through the main entrance, which is absolutely massive, you are confronted with what's referred to as the Grand Gallery. After you travel through that little guy, you are in the King's Chamber. This chamber is 2 perfect squares side by side. No measurement, just proportion. I extensively cover this in Geometrix, but let me explain why this is important. 2 squares, any size, width is 1, length is 2. The diagonal is 2.236 in units, not measurement. If you add those together, you get 5.236. So the perimeter of that triangle. 5.236 is the measurement of the width of the King's Chamber in meters. But the meter was discovered in the 1700s by using the circumference of the Earth. Wasn't as accurate though, because the Earth isn't perfectly spherical, but it was still a close standard. Today we use the speed of light, which is the Great Pyramid's latitude. The square base of the Great Pyramid is a scaled down measure of the Earth's circumference. If you draw a circle in the measurements of the Great Pyramid, it will give you the length of a tropical year, which is the time it takes the sun to come back to the same position. There's actually so many of these, I could probably make a documentary on it, which I might do. After I get back from Egypt with my friend Robert Grant, He's been nice enough to create a virtual pass if you want to explore and decode some temples and pyramids with us. He'll be giving a talk.
pretty cool.
I'll be giving a talk. You can find that in any link in my bio. I probably won't be on here too much, so if you want to keep up, check it out.
You don't say. Let me get y'all caught up real quick. You remember when Gomez made that video crying? Arguably not real crying? Come on, there's no way you thought that was real. But this right here is real. 3 eyes and 3 sixes? You starting to catch on? They're all Satan worshippers. Literally. They are simply taking orders. Speaking of Satan, this will be one of the biggest years for Satan yet, as we have just entered the year of the wooden snake, the Chinese New Year. And there's quite literally so much that will be revealed this year. But take heed, purposefully. Come on, you guys, none of these people are your friend. But they need you to wake up a little bit for what they have planned. By the way, take a look at these years. Let me know what it makes you think of. The last years of the snake. But this will be the last year of the snake. Not the last year completely, but the last year of the snake. By the way, this was so freaky, so they planned their fight on March the 27th. Do you remember the girl I just showed you who said she talked to a demon through an Ouija board? And the demon told her March 27th was the end? That's pretty freaky because people thought the fight would never happen. Oh, the US Navy is banning DeepSeek. That is hilarious because people were going crazy about the TikTok thing, and this app is actually dangerous. I'm warning you, it's dangerous. And yes, it's more dangerous than the apps that we already have. It's meant to deep seek your life. A lot of things are going to happen this year.
What if I told you time travel is real, but it's not how we think it is? It's actually just time travel to watch. There's this guy named Francois Bruni.
Okay.
He created a machine that he claims can see every moment of the world ever and
Like
watch it on
like
a screen.
TV?
He created a machine that you can turn on, watch, and using and manipulating. Because what are memories really is light and frequency. Replaying. That's what everything is. That's what everything is, Gavin.
Yep.
Now manipulating that and using it with the world's frequency and using to manipulate different time eras. Apparently, he was able to create a screen that was able to show him the crucifixion of Christ.
Whoa.
The Napoleon's like speeches back in the day. I think Julius Caesar, like a whole bunch of different things out in history. Now, this is where it gets scary though. He brought it to the Vatican. He brought this machine to the Vatican. The Vatican still has it to this day. Yeah, like they still have it to this day. And this is where it gets scary because there was a pope. I forgot the pope's name, but the pope at the time decided this machinery is too powerful. We need to destroy it, or just we can't release it to the public. Like all of your records, everything that you've done to study this, it cannot go public.
Damn.
So to this day, they still have it somewhere in the Vatican archives.
What they're talking about, I believe, is called the chronovisor. And I find that story very fascinating, even though the story that they told is not quite the true supposed story that you find online. When it comes to time travel, I will say one thing, that if time travel exists or if it will ever exist, the way I believe it to work is kind of like the chronovisor. I do not believe that we will physically have the ability to travel back in time or forward in time. Love the theories around it. I kind of hope that it is true, and I think that if time travel is true, that there's probably laws that already exist within that realm. But I still think, being that people are people, laws would be broken and we would see way more of time travel happening because of rebellious people. But I do think that there might be a way to manipulate light and frequencies and to see through them of the past. Not necessarily be able to see the future because the future has not happened yet, but as far as the past goes, we can probably see it with some kind of control over light and frequency. That's a theory I really do like. Let me know in the comments of what you guys think about it, and let me know what you guys think about the chronovisor. Do you think it actually exists?
People always want to know if time is real. And I see why people don't think time is real. It's more of like a prison, but it's really a dimension. In fact, it's the fourth dimension. Yes, in physics, time is generally considered the fourth dimension. So why is time not real? Well, because we can only experience right now. Like me saying we can only experience right now just a few seconds ago, that time is gone forever. I only have right now. And this right now is an eternal now. It's all I'm gonna ever know is these moments I have in life. But this is where time kicks in. We start to get older over time. Our bodies start to shut down over time. We learn more and get more experience in life with time. But is that really time how we think of time? Because I don't know about you, but I believe in God, and I know He's eternal. So when it comes to eternity, there's no such thing as time. This is why His name is I Am That I Am. He just is. All that's ever gonna happen has already been done in the eyes of God. So I feel like there's an eternal now, but we're constantly trying to live in the past or the future, trying to plan stuff. And if you ever heard the saying, you want to make God laugh, tell me your plans. We can't do that. We have to be fully and 100% in the moment at all times, because all we have is right now. You'll miss your opportunity trying to think about the future or reflecting on the past instead of being in the moment. And I think it's so hard for us to understand the concept of time because we live in this paradox. Our spirit and our physical body is always in conflict. Our physical body is living through the reality of time, but our spirit and our mental was made in God's image, which is meant to always be in the eternal now. This is why we have to die to our flesh and live in our spirit so we can access this eternal now.
So they just came out and told us what the drones were. I'll be right back.
Shared with me in the Oval Office from President Trump directly an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons.
First things first, they were only in New Jersey. They were around the entire Earth. By the way, this video is just for entertainment. I'm just being stupid. I have no brain cells. So these behind me in Phoenix 2 days ago, those are drones? Or those orbs of light? Plasma, if you will. You could say these were drones, but these things account for 1 out of 1,000. Almost like they were put up there for a reason. Maybe the same reason for SpaceX and kind of fitting into Project Stargate. If you've been watching me since last year, then you know what I think of SpaceX. These drones too? How about these lights right here that have been seen over 100 times in the US alone? No, they're not spotlights. How about this right here? Is this drones or is this SpaceX? Or is it neither? It's neither. I don't think that these are drones right here. Really don't think so. Let me speed this one up so you can actually grasp it. Although I have about 1,000 different videos, let's end it with this. This is a drone too? Again, this is entertainment. I'm being stupid. They just told you what they were. They're for research. And they're ours. By the way, their fear corn doomsday clock just got closer.
I did see the disclosure of what the drones were, supposedly. I don't know if I necessarily believe it to be just FAA testing and hobbyists. Some of the things out there for sure were drones, 100%. But even the things that I've seen here in South Carolina, far away from New Jersey, those were not just regular drones. And there was actually, in some instances, jets chasing whatever it was. And I mean, a person can only say what they've been told. I don't think that there's really any solid evidence that that's all it really was for just one person to say, hey, it was these things, because they are just being told what to say. And even if the FAA has some kind of paperwork saying, yeah, you see, we were doing these tests, how do we not know that those were forged just for the moment? But let me know in the comments your thoughts about this. It is a little fishy in my opinion, and why the FAA just couldn't come out and say it right away. But again, let me know your thoughts. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's episode. As always, if you found any of these clips interesting, there will be a link in the description that'll take you to all the videos that we watched today. With that being said, have a good day.